You've had Wendy's nugs dipped in sauce, but have you had them covered in sauce? Wendy's new saucy nugs take the crispy and spicy nugs you love and turn them up to 11. Choose between flavors like buffalo or honey barbecue, garlic parm, or if you're a real heat seeker out there, you can try spicy ghost pepper only on Wendy's signature spicy nugs. Listen, I'm going to dare you to do it. I dare you. That's 7 delicious ways to try the nugs that you already love. Pick a flavor, grab some extra napkins, and then grab a few more napkins and prepare to nug like you've never nugged before. For a whole new way to nug, it's got to be Wendy's at participating U.S. Wendy's.
What up, Cal fans? Welcome back to the Golden Bearcast, proud partner of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. This episode is sponsored by Hop Water, delicious, crisp, citrusy, and piney. Sparkling hop water, crafted with adaptogens and nootropics. Are we actually sponsored by this delicious water? Not at all. Nope. Not whatsoever. But if you put it out into the world, sometimes it becomes reality. Right, Rob?
Sometimes the world punches back. And hopefully they punch back with hop water.
If the Right for California tailgate can get sponsored by
Malort,
then we can get this podcast sponsored by Hop Water. There's got to be somebody out there that's like, you know what? It would be good to have these guys. Oh my gosh, those are the mini Malorts?
Yeah, I still got a box of these.
Bring them to Syracuse.
I will.
Did you have Malort for the Oregon State game?
I did not, but Nam did. Nam and Co, they all did.
Did we have Malort for... We had it clearly at Miami. Mm-hmm. Then did we have Malort at NC State?
Yeah. We also had Malort at Pitt.
Okay.
So
I think it does beg the question, why are we doing this to ourselves?
I think it's become more of a cultural thing than it is a superstition thing now. I think people thoroughly enjoy that we've adapted this liquor as like the Cal pregame liquor of the Cal internet verse. And that's kind of what we're going after now versus it like we need to do it because we're winning. And I think we've done it enough now. So
I just wonder if there's a choice that doesn't taste like ground dirt.
So I think the thing is now it doesn't require everyone to drink it anymore. If you want to drink it, you can. And I think we'll still have it at any tailgate. But it's not a requirement of a beverage anymore. You know, we can't dangle the carrot in front of you and say, if you don't drink this, we're going to lose. Because we've already lost enough now with it that it's not maintainable.
I suppose you could make the case that the record is still very strong.
Yeah, it's still like 10 and 2. So
I had it at the Notre Dame game.
I know, we lost.
You're saying 10 and 2 at home?
NC State, yeah, 10 and 2 at home.
That's pretty solid. For Cal, that's great. Okay, well, we're not here to talk about Malort.
Yeah, we've talked about that enough.
we can, clearly we're ready to talk about the Oregon State game. We just can't wait to dive in. So, all right, we're going to talk about vibes. First segment, opening segment, always the start. Tale of two perspectives. And we'll start with you, Rob. Mm-hmm. What did you do? What were the vibes? How was the day?
What did I do? What were the vibes? It was pretty laid back. Nam and I hung out for a little bit before the game, and then I headed up. They went back to the tailgate and hung out with some folks, and then walked up to the game. It was honestly a great day for football. Like it wasn't hot, it wasn't cold. Sun shining pretty well. It was a great day to take pictures. It wasn't. I wish there was a little bit more clouds just for the sake of me, but overall, it was a good day to be out there and watch some dominating football.
Dominant football.
Dominant football. What about for
Well,
you?
I think there's like 14
What was your
students
setup?
in the student section. Well, yeah, I mean,
We can give him a little bit more
I don't
credit
know,
than
like
that. There's 50.
no way. There's like 14.
No, it was I would say it was about a third full. Like right as kickoff happened, and it ended up being about half full, and then it died down again once like it hit halftime.
I'm going to send you a picture at the start of the game that I took.
I have pictures of the crowd too.
iPhone on my beautiful iPhone 14 Pro of 14 students. 1 o'clock.
It's definitely more than 14.
All right.
students.
Dude, it's not that. Okay, it might be 50. It might be 50. But let me tell you, that's like an eighth full. An eighth.
I mean,
You're not getting me with a third.
It looked a third. I mean, it was a spacious third, but it looked like a third from like midway through the first quarter. But
I'll give you that.
regardless, like, look, we're on a 4-game losing streak. I did not expect attendance to be good in any form whatsoever.
This is the thing with Bay Area sports. We talk about it all the time. Giants have top 10 attendance, but that was this year versus last year. I think last year they were top 15. Sharks have abysmal attendance for good reason. They may not win a game this whole season.
The Earthquakes,
Warriors,
same as
no
well.
issues there.
Or yeah, I mean,
Well,
until Steph retires, they're going to have no
Earthquakes.
issues.
Earthquakes don't count because that's John Fisher, and John Fisher sucks.
That's exactly my
That's all I'll say
reasoning.
about that.
That's exactly my reasoning. Yeah.
But
I mean, even like, did you see that picture of like the Coliseum for SC? Like, because they played Friday night against, I think was it Rutgers? They played Friday night, and that stadium, the
not.
Coliseum, was empty. Mostly because there was a Laker game, there was the World Series, there was some other high school game I think happening at SoFi. So, yeah, but that was bad. That looked terrible.
That is wild. I heard about that. People were saying it's the day of traffic. World Series Lakers game plus SC on Friday night. Can't even imagine how hard it was to get around that city. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's that's why I think so many people look at this season as what could have been, because you had this moment in time to really galvanize the Bay Area fan base and turn this into a little bit more of a tradition. Maybe it's not sold out. Maybe you're like pushing 40, 45 per Saturday. Mm-hmm. And, the beautiful thing about Oregon State is they showed up with a lot of fans for an away team. They always do. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, it was going from Miami to then NC State and then to Oregon State from a stadium experience was tough to see, I think. It's tough. I saw a guy wearing a Fire Wilcox, Fire Knowlton, Save Cal Football t-shirt.
Yep, I saw one of those too.
Did you?
I saw a fire. Was it a Fire Wilcox or a Fire Nolan shirt? But yeah, Nam and I saw one when we were leaving the parking lot.
It's pretty fast turnaround on that one.
I mean, to be fair, they could have made that shirt like 3 years ago.
That is true, I guess. Yeah. If you were particularly down.
Yeah.
I think that the thing, I think the thing about this entire weekend, and I will say the game was a complete blessing as far as how it could have gone. But it certainly felt like something was taken away from us a little bit. And I think I just felt it more. NC State, there just was still a little bit more energy. The student section was particularly bad because I think at NC State we said it was homecoming and that there was a little bit of a reason as to why it wasn't totally full. But like at that point, you knew it was just like interest had faded.
Well, I mean, and then you lose NC State too. And
No, yeah,
so
exactly.
So like, and so that it snowballed.
Completely. Well, other than that, I agree with you. It's still an amazing advertisement for the Bay Area. We're still somehow landing on ESPN. Lord knows, I don't think they were that excited to be showing that game, but amazing nonetheless. And the product on the field, which we will get to after a break, was easily the best we've looked all year.
All right, let's talk about some stats from the game. All right, there's actually some really cool notes from this one too. So let me go through that some of the key ones that I found before we go into the actual stats of the game. Cal's 37-point margin in victory over Oregon State was the largest since also winning by 37 points at North Texas last season to start the season. Cal's 31-0 halftime lead was the largest since a 52-0 advantage over Grambling State in 2015. Cal's 44 points were also the most that it scored since the SC game last year. Some other ones that I saw, Fernando Mendoza completed 27 of 36 passes for a career high of 364 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions for 178.3 QB rating. That was the second highest of his career. He posted 179.7 against Miami earlier this year. The 364 passing yards were also the most by a Cal quarterback since Jack Plummer had 406 at USC in 2002. Derek Morris also tied a Cal single game school record in terms of made field goals with 5. Made one from 33, 46, 19, 25, and 38. Derek Morris also becomes the third player to achieve the feat and now shares the record with Mark Jensen, who did it in 2022, and Matt Anderson, who did it in 2016. That seems wrong. I don't remember Mark Jensen being a kicker in 2022. And yeah, those were the big ones. Yeah, I don't know who that is. The stat broadcast is definitely wrong. It says it says now shares the record with Mark Jensen, parentheses, September 21st, 2022. And I was like, no, we didn't have a kicker named Mark Jensen in 2022. But okay. Let's go to some of the other stats. Rushing wise, we'll talk about the game, but it wasn't anything to brag about. Javian Thomas, 7 carries for 33 yards. Mendoza, 5 carries for 25. Chandler Rogers, 3 for 24. Jay Knott, 10 carries for 19 yards with also a loss of 8. So he ended the game with 10 carries for 11 yards. Only 1 touchdown or 2 touchdowns on the ground, Javian Thomas and Jamal Wiley. Receiving wise, Jack Endry, 6 targets, 6 catches, 55 yards. Trod Grizel, 7 targets, 5 catches, 95 yards. And Isaiah Hunter, 5 targets, 4 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. Jay Knott, 4 targets, 4 catches, 58 yards. And also my boy Trevor Rogers, got to shout him out, got a target, but did not have a catch in the game. And defensively, the Bears were without Cade Olave, who was out this game. But Teddy Buchanan led the way with 6 tackles, 5 assisted, 1 solo, and 1 tackle for a loss. Xavier Carlton continues his season of wrecking the pocket. Half a sack, half a tackle for loss, and 4 tackles. And Craig Woodson also with the 1 interception and the half tackle for loss. So we were getting in the backfield quite a bit. And having some guys healthy too. Matthew Littlejohn playing his first game in quite a while, had half a tackle for loss and a pass breakup. And also Derek Wilkins with a key block on a Oregon State field goal attempt. Anything stand out to you, Andy?
There are a couple of things actually stood out to me about this game. My first one, I believe somebody asked us this last week in the Golden Tweets, tweet, which was if Jaden or any of the players that were injured, had they played, would our record be different? Or AKA, would have any of those games been wins? I think that despite his abysmal rushing day, there was that one receiving catch in the first half where he gets it and his speed, and I know Javian Thomas is fast, but there's something about just Jaden's recognition of the space and ability to get through that hole. And I turned to my dad and I said, any other player on the roster that's a 5 to 7 yard gain, Jaden Ott turns it into a 25-yard play. And I feel like there were a number of plays against NC State where I felt as though Jaden would have broke out that 25-yard play versus getting the 5 to 7. And it just shows like what a game changer he is, even when he's clearly rusty. I think rushing the ball, he was a little bit indecisive. There was at least one time that I could see from our seats that I felt like he missed the gap, and just I'm assuming it was just rust and the inconsistency of this season was causing that. Obviously, the O-line hasn't been particularly good at creating holes anyways, so it's not to say that it's all on him, but I did feel like, it was great to have Jaden back out there, and especially in the receiving game. It wasn't a game where we necessarily had to have it, but as far as the rest of season, feeling good about it, it is a game changer. We obviously saw it against Miami as a receiving threat and when he has that speed, but I just distinctly remember that play up the left side, and you just see him, he gets good block on the outside by the wide receiver and is able to just shoot through that hole and turn up field and get that 25, 30-yard gain that, maybe we don't get if he's not out there.
Yeah, I mean, make a great point. I mean, I was talking to Peter today about this too, and was like, the rushing yardage might give you pause for worry, because you're like, oh, well, why can we dominate? Well, upon rewatching the game, just because I was on the field, right, I couldn't really tell. It did look like Oregon State's game plan for this game was to force Nando to throw. Like they were basically saying, if Nando can beat us with his arm, we'll live with that, but we're not going to let any of their rushing attack guys really gash us for any type of yards and also hold on to time of possession. And I think that was the big thing that happened. And they tested us that way, but Nando delivered. 27 of 37, 364 yards passing. Average per completion was 13.5. Average per attempt was 9.8. So, yeah, I think they wanted to go with Nando as we'll lock everyone else down. He has to beat us. And Nando did exactly that. He threw to all of his weapons across the board, and every single one of them made some incredible plays to keep the chains moving.
Yeah, Nando was phenomenal this game. I think he only had one throw that he really benefited from the Oregon State defender dropping what I think should have been a pick. And
yeah.
Sometimes that goes your way. But other than that, he was... what I felt like we saw was, one, he had the protection and he had the time. But there were also there are a couple of times when I saw him in the pocket where he tucked the ball and expected a defender to be ready to hit him. and then no defender was was there, and he had more time. Particularly the throw to Trond, where that exactly happened. He has time. He tucks it down. He kind of starts maybe panicking a little bit, like scrambling around. He looks up and finds Trond Grisel wide open by himself on the sideline and hits him for a big gain. But the offense, what I loved so much is we said that Mark Richt during the ACC halftime show against NC State was suggesting that Cal should go more up tempo. They did that. They went way more pass heavy than run heavy for, I think, the first time. In my opinion, it's been pretty balanced, and this was clearly just more pass plays. And we, at the end of the day, I think where Wilcox would be thrilled is we got into the end zone. We weren't kicking field goals. I know we kicked 5, but we got into the end zone pretty consistently. 31-0 in the first half. Game was completely, put to bed by like 2:30 in the afternoon. It was an unbelievable performance, and I loved our 2 tight end set as well. I just continue to think that is a mismatch against most teams. It'd be interesting to see how that plays out against ACC teams. But overall, just a amazing performance. And I think Tron had his best game of the season. He had that big, I think it was a post or something like that. I mean, who knows exactly what the route is, but over the middle, big gain. And then the play that I'm talking about where he's open on the sideline, and it just like finding that connection again, I think was really important, because that's what we were missing. Tron was a part of a lot of big plays last year.
Yeah, I mean, they did. I did notice that they shifted him. If I'm not mistaken, they shifted him outside a little bit more in this game too. A lot more verticality was used. I mean, if you watch the second half, I mean, even the first half, but if you watch a lot of the first and second downs and the personnel that they're putting on, like Jordan King is out there, Trevor Rogers is out there. They're using a lot more guys with bigger size and speed on the outsides. And I don't know what made them decide this game to be the game that they used those guys. But clearly it wasn't just like a let's throw these guys on because we're winning so big. Like it definitely looked like they were part of the game plan from the get-go. And these guys got some valuable minutes in playtime. Like, just because I have a relationship with Trev, like when he was on the field, like I was so excited for him. I was taking pictures of him when he was running his routes, but like he was beating his cover guy every single time. But his route is not the first or second read in the offense. So even though he was open, like Nando's not looking for him till later, and then some of the other guys are also open, so they're going to get the pass thrown to them first because if they are the first or second read. So like just seeing that a little bit was some moments of optimism. I think also Wilcox mentioning in the press conference midway through, or I think on Tuesday, right before the game, seeing that Tobias Merriweather had started practicing was also a very, very good sign. Maybe that's the reason they started to throw in a bit more verticality in terms of the route running and the concepts, because they know he's coming back. Maybe it's because you only have 5 games left in the season, including the Oregon State game. So you're thinking of where you're going to use which guys you might end up burning the red shirts or you want to keep, because they can play 4 games, right? So maybe you thought because Tobias is coming back, you're not going to be able to play these guys later in the season, or fingers crossed, like Tobias doesn't get hurt, so he plays the rest of the season. So you can keep the red shirt on these guys. So you're going to give them the minutes here in this game. Maybe that was the thought process, but regardless, it was just great to see a bunch of the young guys get a bunch of snaps. Like also Jamal Wiley on that touchdown run to get his was great. I mean, he played in North Carolina State game, got a really, really big first down for us too. But I've mentioned this for a few weeks now. Like he is, I think, the next guy that's in that running back room that'll take over. I think, of course, Jet is the next guy up, but I think right behind him, it's definitely Jamal Wiley. He looks like something special, and I'm super excited to see how he develops. But yeah, I mean, all facets of the game, right? Offense, defense, special teams, no one really, you can nitpick, and I'm sure Wilcox did, to kind of gain anything that you can teach the guys and improve on. But from our general look at the game, there's not really a facet of the game that you can point to and be like, well, that could have been better. I think they took what Oregon State was giving them in all facets, and they took advantage of whatever they were giving them.
Yeah, I think we focus so much on the offense because it feels like that's been a point of frustration throughout this season. But defensively, obviously it was rough not having Cade out there, and I'm assuming that is extending from the North Carolina State game, which says a lot about his toughness in that he was able to bounce back and get back into that game, and then was out the following week. But who knows? I could be making that up. Could be dead wrong. We'll probably never know. But the thing I wanted to highlight was Hunter Barth and Liam Johnson rotating in at the other inside linebacker spot, and they looked so good. It was just, I mean, I know that the Wilcox defense highlights and is built around highlighting your linebackers, which is why we've been beyond blessed with so many fun linebackers to watch in the last 8 years. But just to see, I thought out of the two, Liam Johnson really looked the part. Of course, tough to actually say, how much is that Oregon State? How much is that Liam? But I did really think that he has the build, and his tackling quality was really high, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I think you make a great point. I mean, I think that's kind of the reason they brought in Liam from Princeton is you brought in Teddy Buchanan because he was going to be the starter, but I think you wanted one more guy with experience, and I think that's why you brought in like another floor raiser in terms of production, and that was what Liam brought. And it sucks because I think if we had him earlier on in the year, because he didn't play the first half of the year basically because he was hurt, if we had him, I think the rotation might have been a little bit nicer. And it wouldn't have taxed Teddy and Cade as much earlier on in the year. But like just even having him now, granted we'll only have him for this season, but even having him now is going to be a tremendous help for the next few weeks as we get deeper into the season and guys start to get a little bit more banged up.
Rob, are you saying we would have won the Miami game had Liam been healthy?
Maybe. He's definitely one of them. I think there's a bunch of other guys, right? Like Matthew Littlejohn's another one. Like Josiah Wagner is supposed to be back, or he's like almost ready to be back too. So if we had him, maybe if Cam Sidney was ready to play in that Miami game, maybe a little bit more Ryan Yates. But that's just me wanting guys to play. So who knows? It's a butterfly effect.
Truly. The what if is strong with this season, big time.